So hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. So if you are new here, so make sure to watch all of the playlists we have given around Java, C and Python up to now, and most of the thesis NQT problems are solved there. So this is the official first video of our brand new playlist, Codeforces problem solving from the scratch. So in this playlist we are going to solve Codeforces problems one by one, starting from absolute basics, and gradually we will be moving up in difficulty. So whether you are a complete beginner who just learned what C++ is, or somehow who wants to sharpen their problem solving skills, so this playlist is for you. So today's problem is Codeforces 4a watermelon. So it is one of the most classic beginner problems on this platform, and even though it looks simple, there is a lot we can learn from it about reading these problems carefully, thinking mathematically and writing clean code. So grab a pen and paper and open your IDE. So let's get started. So first we'll see what is Codeforces. So before we jump into the problem, let me give a quick intro to the Codeforces, especially for those who are brand new. So Codeforces is one of the most popular competitive programming platforms in the world. It hosts regular contests called Codeforces rounds, where programmers from all over the globe compete to solve problems as fast and accurately as possible. Problems are grouped by difficulty ratings. It will be starting from 800, it is the easiest, and it is going all the way up to 3500. So only the world's best can solve those problems. So today's problem is 4a watermelon. This 4a is nothing but the serial number of it. So the watermelon is the problem name. So it is one of the classic 800 rater problems. So it is perfect for the starting point. So every problem on the Codeforces has a problem statement explaining what you need to do. After that, the input format, what data your program receives. After that, output format, what your program should print, and constraints, the limit on input values. After that, sample test cases. So the examples to check your understanding if your code is correct or not. So always read all of these sections. Many beginners rush the problem statement and miss key details. So let's not do that today. So first we'll see how to open that problem. So for that, go to problem statement here. After that, we have to sort it along with the maximum number of peoples that is solved. So as you can see, there is a green tick mark here. So click once. So you will see here, if you don't get, again click it until it's appear. There are three ways of sorting there. So after it will sort again. So if you click it again, it will sort to the previous one, that is the highly solved problems. The number of people is solved. So here, as you can see, the first problem is that problem. So let's open the problem. So after opening it, you'll see like a page like this. So I'll just see here, there are few tabs there. One is problems, where the problem will be there. After that, the submit button, where you will submit your code. After that, the status of your code after the submission, and standings is nothing but the ranking of it. After that, this custom test. In this custom test, you can write your code. So after that, in here you can give input and you can see the output of your program here. So if you don't want, you can use your own IDE in offline. So here, let me go on to these problems. So I'll change it. After that, I'll enter this problem. So here, this is the problem statement. So here the problem statement is, one hot summer, Pete and his friend Billy decided to buy a watermelon. So they choose the biggest and the ripest one. So in their opinion, after that watermelon was weighed and the scales showed W kilos. So W is nothing but a number we are going to give as an input. So they rushed home dying of thirst and decided to divide the berry. However, they faced a hard problem. So this entire problem will be going on to a scenario based. So in Codeforces, every problem will be in scenario based. So after that, Pete and Billy are a great fans of even numbers. So that's why they want to divide the watermelon in such a way that each of two parts weighs even numbers. It means if you split a melon, you will get two pieces. So those two pieces must be even weights. So at the same time, it is not obligatory that parts are equal. So that means we don't need to give the equal weight of the watermelon to each boys. The weight can be different. So the boys are extremely tired. So the boys are extremely tired and want to start their meal as soon as possible. So that's why you should help them and find out if they can divide the watermelon in a way they want for sure. Each of them should get a part of positive weight. That means we can split it in a positive weight manner. So after that they have given input here. So the input is the first line and the only input line, it contains a integer number, that is W. So this is the constraint. So this constraint is the input that we can give as a limit. So 1 to 100. So after that the weight of the watermelon bought by the boys, it is W. So after that we have to give the output there, that is print yes if the boys can divide the watermelon into two parts. So each of them weighing even number of kilos. So if I split a melon and I'll get both pieces at the weight of even numbers, so that time I have to print yes. So if not, I have to print no. So that is the case. So let us see the core logic of it. So they have given a note here. So for example, so they have given input 8 and the output is yes. So for example, the boys can divide the watermelon into two parts. For example, 2 and 6 kilos can be splitted by that, and another variant is 4 and 4 kilos. So it can be splitted in either way. So they have said here, it is not obligatory that the parts are equal. We don't need to give both weights as the same weight. So it can be differ, but it should be in the even weight. So alright, let's see here. So let's break down this part. So let us move on to the whiteboard. So let us break down this problem. So they can said that, so they said that there is a melon. So if I split the melon, so that time I'll get two parts. So in this melons, both of them have to be the weight of even weight. So they said each part weighs an even number of kilos. So the both pieces must be even, not 1. So both of them should be even number of weight. So each part is not less than 2 kilos. So each piece must be at least 2. So because a even number of weight is starts from 2. So 0 is also even, but we can't do that because both of them should have at least 2 kilograms. So in the case 0 is not possible. So the both of the weight should be greater than 2 because the even number starts from 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, like that it will goes on. So for that the weight should be starts from at least 2 kilos. So this means 0 is not allowed even though 0 is technically even. So they have said the weight is W is the input from the user, that is 1 less than or equals 100. So it can be in the range of 1 to 100. So after that we have to print yes if it is can be divided in the same manner they have asked for. So let us move on to the next part. We are going to building a logic for this problem from the scratch. So this is the most important part. So the thinking process, so don't skip in your own practice, always think before you code. So we don't need to find two numbers a and b such that, for example, they ask for a plus b is w. So a plus b is w. So a is even and b is even. So both of them is even. So that means a is greater than or equals to and b is greater than or equals to 2. So let's think about what it means for both a and b to be even. So let me take here, if a value is 2 times of k for some integer k, after that b is 2 times of m for some integer m. So that time a plus b is 2k plus 2m. So these are nothing but two variables. So I can say it that 2 times of k plus m. So the sum of two even numbers is always even. So this is also even, this is also even. So the sum of two even numbers is also even. So if w is odd number, for example, let me take 3 here. If I split, there are two possibles only, that is 1 and 2, 2 and 1. So we both of them is not even, because here one is even, here one is so here one is odd and here one is odd. So both of them are not even. So that time it is impossible to split into two even parts. If w is odd, it is not possible to print. So if w is even, so that time we can immediately print it is yes, but there is one more condition there, that for 2 is also an even number, but if you try to split it, you will get 1 and 1, after that 0 and 2. So here both of them are odd numbers, so it is not possible, and here we got 0, so we should not return 0 for one person. So it must be greater than 0. That means if a number, that is if my current number is greater than 2 and my number is even number, I can say it can be splitted in that way. So now the w is even. Is it always possible? Almost we have find the edge cases, but the only edge cases here is the weight is 2. So if weight is 2, as we can see from the example, a is greater than 2 and b is greater than or equals 2. This is the condition we got. But here if we split it, we will get 0 and 2, 1 and 1. These are two possibles. But as you can see here, both should be greater than or equals to 2. But here this all three of them is less than 2. So that time it is not possible. But if you take 4, the next even number, we can split a is 2 and b is 2. If we take another number, that is 6, so that time we can say a is 2 and b is 4, or we can say a is 4 and b is 2, like this. We don't need to split it evenly because they have already mentioned there is no need for that. And if we take 8, we can split a is 2, b is 6 and a is 4, b is also 4. Like this way we can split it. So the pattern is clear. So the things we want to check are, if my weight is odd number, that time it is not possible. If my weight is even number and equals to 2, that is not possible, because we need an even number but it is greater than 2. So if my weight is even and greater than 2, so that time it is possible. So we got find the find the logic of it, that is if it is even and greater than 2, it is possible to split in that way they have asked for. So if it can be split, yes, and only if the weight is even and greater than 2, or equivalently, yes, if W modulus equals to, this is the condition, and W is greater than 2. So this is the condition equals to this term. So if my weight modulus 2, why we have given this condition is because for checking even, so if I take any number, for example 26, so if I divide this number with 2, so this will give remainder value. So I can say 13 times of 2 is 26, I'll get remainder as 0. If I divide any number with 2 and if it returns 0 as the remainder, then it is even number. If it returns 1, that is an odd number. So let us check. So here I'll change this number. So here I want to give 27. So that time 13 times 26, I'll get the remainder as 1. So 0 for even, 1 for odd numbers. So that's why we have used, if my weight modulus 2 equals to the value of 0, it is even, and if my weight is greater than 2, that time I will print yes. So let us see some environment here. So in this compiler we are going to use CLine, that is created by JetLines. So I am going to use CLine. If you want any offline compiler, you can use it. First let me open it. So this is the CLine compiler. This is how the compiler should look. So let us see here how to do that. First, in this we are going to write the program. So for that I will remove this code. This is the default code that has given by the C++ compiler. So let us remove it and write our own code. I have already created new project with the name of Codeforces. So within this we are going to use it. So now a lot of competitive programmers use a template at the top of every file. Here is a simple one recommended for beginners. So the most of the time the competitors will use this header file in C++ hash include. So after that bits slash standard C++ dot h. So this is a header file. So in this header file, using this, we will include all header files, include what we need to run a program. It will add nearly 100 header files. It also adds algorithm files, input output files, vectors, strings, everything we need to include. It will always include by a single line of code. So after that we will having one more code, that is using namespace as standard. After that int, so main return 0. So this is the basic structure. So we will be included with two more lines. Those are iOS, after that an underscore, base, 2 colons, so sync with standard IO is false. The next line is scene dot I is to null pointer. So this is the basic structure most of the competitive programmers use to write the codes. So let us see the line by line explanation of this. So this header file is nothing but a special header file that will be including everything, all standard C++ libraries at once. So it will include IO stream for input and output, algorithms, vectors, strings, and 100 of other files. And competitive programmers love this because it saves time. In production code, you would be more specific, but for contest, This is perfectly fine. So let us see the next line, that is using namespace standard. So C++ has something called namespaces. They are like containers that group related names together. So the standard library lives in the standard namespace. Without this line, we'd have to write standard and after that 2 colons and cout and standard 2 colons C. So if you want to use standard output, you have to use this syntax, and for standard, that means input and output. So cout is nothing but printing statement and this is scanning statement. So this, instead of using cin, you have to use standard cin for every time if you don't use this namespace. So that's why we are using namespace standard here. So it is best practice to use it. So this line says assume every lines that comes from is standard unless I say otherwise. So it will be a much cleaner way. So after that, int main. So this int main is nothing but every C++ program have a main function. So it is the entry point. So the first thing that runs when your program is starts. So in int, it means the function returns an integer which we use to signal success or failure to the operating system. So this int is nothing but when you write a program, if it returns 0, so that time the OS will know the program is run successfully. So if not, there should be some error within this code. After that, there are 2 lines here. So this 2 lines is nothing but speed up the input and output. So by default in C++, it will be syncs to its input and output with printf and scanf of C programming. So which is slower. So these lines will disconnect that sync and making C input and C output much faster. So for this problem, it doesn't matter. So but it's a great habit to include that always, especially when the input is large. So next we will be move on to the code. Let us see that. So here they have given the input is W and we are going to get it. They have said it is an integer. So now let us see here. So integer W. So integer W, this is the variable we have declared. So we have given lowercase for matching the problem's notation. Then we can use cin to read the input from value into W, and after that we can print it. So cin, after that 2 greater than symbols and W. So when you are giving an input, this arrow should be forward towards the variable. When you are using cout, it should forwards toward the cout. So this operator is called the extraction operator. So it will extracts the data from the input stream and puts into the variable. So we got input from the user. So after that we have to write the logic of it. That is, so as you can see here, the condition is if my weight is even and it is greater than 2, I can print yes, or else I can print no. So the condition is we have to check even and we have to check it is greater than 2 or not. So we will write the code. So if my weight is modulus 2 is equals to 0 and my weight is greater than 2, so that time I can say cout within double quotes I'll give yes. So after that I'll use end line to go to the next line. If you don't want to use this, you can also use /n. So while using end line here, so after that else it is no. So this is the core logic of it. So this W modulus 2 is the modulus operator. It will give us the remainder when W is divided by 2. If W is even, the remainder is 0. If it is odd, the remainder is 1. So W modulus 0 checks if it is even. So this equals operator is equality comparison operator. So don't confuse it with single equals, which is assignment operator. So after that, AND operator, that is the logical AND operator. So both condition on its left and right must be true. So both of them are true, then the whole expression to be true. So after that, W greater than 2. So it will check the weight is strictly greater than 2. So it is ruling out that W is 2 edge case. So as we can check that it is false. So after that we are printing yes. So if this condition is true, so that time it will print it. So after that, this end line that flushes the output buffer and adds a new line to it. So you can also use slash in here. So but I am using this because it is slightly faster than it. So after that, if this condition is false, we have to print no. So after that, finally return 0. So in this return 0, we return 0 from the main, and in C++ returning 0 from main means the program finished successfully with no errors. So the operating system and the Codeforces judge use this to know your program that didn't crash. So let us check with the test cases. So they have given 8 here, we have to check it with 8. So let us go here. So let me run this. Here I'll give the value that is 8. So we got yes as the output. So let us run it and give some more test cases. So for 6 it should be yes because it can be split 2 and 4. So let me give 6. So it says yes. So after that let us check 2. 2 can't be splitted in that way they have asked for. Let us give. So it gives no. So it is false. So we will give 1. So 1 can be split. 1 cannot be split in that way. So 1. So it is no. So after that let us give some input like 100. So it is a even number. It should return yes. So let us give some more number. Some odd number like 7. So it cannot be splitted in that way. So it is no. So all the test cases are passing up to now. So let's go to Codeforces and paste our solution and select C++ and hit the submit button. So let us check if it is accepting or not. So after copying this code, get back to Codeforces. So see here there is a submit button. Open it. So in this submit button, you will see a page like this. Within this, select here, that is GNU G++17. So this is the safest version we will be using. So let me paste my code. So this should be like this. So after pasting your code, once verify every code is and syntax is correct or not. So or else it will be failed when you submit the solution. So after that, come here and click verify you are a human. So after it shows success, let's submit it. So you will be moving to the status. So in this it says accepted. So that means our code is accepted. So before we wrap up, let me give you a few lessons from this problem that are applying to all competitive programming. So the first one is, let me go to the problem. So here, as you can see, first read the constraints. For here, W is 1 less than or equals W and less than or equals 100. So here no need for optimization, but always check. Some problems may have W up to 10 power of 18. So that changes everything. So after that, think about the edge cases first. For example, W is 1 and W is 2 and W is 3. So always test smallest values manually before submitting your problem. And don't overcomplicate it. So beginners often think they need to use loops or arrays for every problem. So this entire problem is one if statement. So it is simply wins. So understand why your solution works So don't just submit and move on. So the logic here, the sum of two events is even. So it is a mathematical insight you will use again and again. So build your template yearly, get comfortable with the boilerplate code so you can focus entirely on problem solving during the contest. So and that wraps up this Codeforces problem. So I know we spent a lot of time what seems like a tiny problem, but that's the point. Mastering fundamentals of reading problems, building logic and writing clean code will carry you through the hundreds of harder problems down the road. So in the next video we'll tackle another beginner friendly problem. So if this video helped you, please hit the like button and it really helps the channel to grow. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and drop a comment below telling me did you solve it on your own before watching this solution. So I'd love to know. So see you in the next video. Happy coding.